Welcome everyone. My name is Reese Morgan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Qubechain, one of the sponsors here of today's event. We all had a big lunch and it's been busy. I know most of you are here for really ICOs and digital money. How many of you have an interest in healthcare? Raise your hand. Oh boy, oh great, quite a few. We're going to talk about really how blockchain is being used in healthcare. A little different than digital currency, but it is a lot going on in healthcare and with blockchain. So there's a revolution going on in healthcare with blockchain. Okay? Healthcare doesn't want to change. The people that are controlling healthcare do not want it to change, and it wouldn't change. It's not up to them. The inmates are taking over. Okay? And one of the ways we're doing this, and one of the things I'm going to talk about, we only have about 25 minutes, so it's not a lot of time. I'm not going to be able to go over a lot of different pieces, but I want to get primarily one key piece of information across. And it's really data. And how data gives you a lot of control, and data has a lot of implications in healthcare. Who owns your data? Your healthcare, your blood, your genomic, all of that. Do you own it? Do you have it? Dad, how many pictures do you have? Dad's our general counsel for Qubechain. How many pictures do you have of you as a kid, or video do you have of you as a kid?
Not very many at all.
Not very many. Who's really young? I'm old, so it doesn't take. But you, do you have videos of you as a kid? Not too many? Well, my son is 18. He has a lot of videos of him as a kid. The whole concept of a person not having their entire healthcare record from birth on is going to be foreign to anybody born today. Okay? So access to that data and use of that data is going to be very important. Who has more of a play or concern of their healthcare than you do? So people are taking a more active role in their healthcare. Now, you want to do these in compliant ways so that you're not sending your blood reports out through email and things. So this is blockchain. We're not going to go through all these different pieces. A lot of you are probably familiar with this because you're close to the industry. The different characteristics: distributed, permanent, use like a tattoo, consensus, provenance, source of origin, trust, and I use a little fruitcake there for double spin. My wife's good at double spinning Christmas. So let's take a little bit about a database and data. In a database, you have a database engine, right? SQL Server, Oracle, SAP, and it massages the data. See how there's first name, last name, gender? Those are fields in a record. In that database, you could have two databases, index one on first name and index the other on last name. Therefore, when you go to search it, it's pretty quick. But your information's in there. Reese, first name, last name, Morgan, address, it's all in there. It's not encrypted. The whole database could be encrypted. But basically, the data's there. If I steal the database and get access to the SC account of that database, I get the data. When we put it in a blockchain, things are different, right? These are encrypted. So in a blockchain, it's only indexed to what? How many indexes are there in any blockchain? One. The timing. Yeah, this is distributed layers. Says I put it in one after the other, they load, they stack on top, and then it's basically there forever. So it's indexed only on when they were put in. The entry data that's entered, it's hashed. So hash is an algorithm that goes through. If I give you a hash key, can you dehash it? Can you go through something if I gave you my hashing algorithm and go back? No. If you encrypt something, you can de-encrypt it, right? And go back and get your address. Go back and get it. But you can't dehash. You can't go back. Actually, I'm going to, while I'm doing a couple things here, I've got a, could you help me with something on the medical? One of the things that Qubechain does, you may want to put this on because it's a medical procedure. It's very highly technical. And there's bacteria and corpuscles and all kinds of strange things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little measurement here. You all set up, got your glove on? Go ahead and put your glove on. This is a lot of, Dr. Shu works for us. He's a Harvard graduate. He looks at Mike and says, "Could you push that white button there?" Okay, great, thank you. You can sit down. That's it. And so with this data, it's all hashed. So I can hand you this database. What can you do with it? Right? It's all hashed. Unless you have the keys to who that is, you don't know that that's me, 141A6F. You don't know what the data is in there. You don't know. And so that data I can put out there in the world, in the public, unless you have those keys, it's not going to do you any good. So let's talk about databases. I'm a CIO of data. I've been a CIO of 2 publicly traded companies. I can call the CFO or the head of technology and say, you know what, that inventory in Amsterdam that has 10,000 units, you need to make it 20,000 units or I'm going to fire you. Probably that CIO officer might change data in that database. We've all heard of Enron, we've all heard of these other companies. Some companies aren't necessarily ethical, they can change data, okay, because it's inside their organization. If I put that out into a blockchain, I wrote it out there, anybody in the world can see it. If I was changing data, first of all, there's a history of it, there's proof of it, auditors can find out about it, and so it's basically you're going to end up getting caught. Now you may be able to change it, actually you can't change it in a blockchain, but you can modify it, you can change or make a new record of it, but the old record will still be there. So that's part of the trust that comes into a blockchain. And so what we have here is in hospitals, in physicians' offices, there's 400 protocols to get to your data. There's patient healthcare record systems, Epic, Cerner, and these other ones. And you don't have the protocols to access or anything to go get that data, okay? If we were to put that data into a blockchain and put it in the world, no one would know it's you unless you gave them their key, okay? And so basically what we have here is once it's in a blockchain, do you need anything from me or from the blockchain to go get that data? No. How many of you are familiar with crystal reports? Raise your hand. Remember the piece of software you bought and you could create a form and it could look at any kind of data and it would produce the data for you. You can go out into a blockchain, Google, crystal reports, BitShare info, viewers, and look at what's in a blockchain. Companies could go and say, I want to take a look and I want to present you. If you let me, I'll look at your data, basically your blood glucose monitoring meter every day. This is the one that I use every day. I'm a diabetic type 2. I use this. It's Bluetooth into my phone. And basically, they could say, you know, you're on Infocana or you're on Metformin. 70% of doctors are currently recommending that, but they're trending towards Infocana. They could give you some information that might be helpful for you. All these people on this right side can't provide services to you until they get access to your data. They can't get access to your data inside the hospitals that there are today. This is what I'm meeting on with actually the VA next week. So the VA has, or any company, you're an enterprise company, you have data. You stick data into a data warehouse, into a big database, okay? That database resides in one location. You have 5 VA offices, or 40. They have to come back, transverse over a wide area network to get to the data in that database, right? And then when you update it, they have to add data to it and pull data from it. What we're doing is we're basically pulling that data through our 400 protocols and we're putting it into a blockchain. We're actually putting into, can we put that data into Bitcoin? No, it's a bunch of data. It's your blood reports, it's your genome data, it's all kinds of stuff. You can't put that data. Can we put it in Ethereum? No. Remember, a record is just a little bit of data. It's not a lot of data. We're actually using Qubechain DB. Qubechain DB is 2 things. It's a blockchain. I just put this record into the database, which is a MongoDB database, which is just a regular database system. But there's a blockchain that has Reese's keys, it manages all of that, and it has in there, this is the data that we put into this database, and then there's a big database engine, interplanetary file system, or MongoDB that we put that data. And so we're basically, as soon as we stick it in that one green node, the blockchain does all the rest. It transfers it out to all the other sites, securely, encrypted, it makes sure it can't be hacked, it syncs it. When someone adds data to one of those other sites, it automatically syncs it around. All those things have to be done by Microsoft, and all that backend and Oracle, all that syncing databases. By just putting it into that one node in that blockchain, the blockchain does all the rest. Great capabilities. So, do you just stick data in a database? So this is what Qubechain is built. So we have smart contracts. So someone wants to put their data into their database. Who controls the world now? You. You have control of your data. Not the doctor, not the physician's office. I have control. And so basically now I can say, the doctor wants to put my blood report in my database, he's got to ask me. So the request to put data into my database comes in to a provider smart contract. And then the provider smart contracts retrieves out of the blockchain my ID, Reese turns the ID. Then the provider comes down to my node smart contract and says, Reese, are you okay to put this person to put data in your database? Well, it actually sends me a push notification. I approve it to be done. It goes back. They end up putting the data in my database, and then the data goes back and it says we wrote it into the database. I have control of my data. Okay? This is all done with smart contracts. What Qubechain does is we're in the intersection of blockchain, security, genomics. We actually are treating 34 diseases. We have 5 IP addresses. There are people today that are in bed that cannot get out of bed, that can come to Qubechain. They go in, they register, they don't use an ID and passwords. There are no passwords at Qubechain. Okay? We're self-sovereign identity. We use 7-factor authentication. I have your healthcare data on the back of the system. I'm not asking you for an ID and password, which I know I can hack from you, sitting in the Starbucks. That's old school. That's 2015, 2016. We don't do it anymore. They're all multi-factor. Another whole discussion. And so basically, we can, you go through a series of questions. You sign HIPAA compliant forms. You sign forms that say, I'm okay with someone using my data, but I don't want them to know it's me. I'm good for research because there may be something in my area, or my location, or my demographics. And then we actually do a swab. You get a prescription, and we actually send it. Usually I do it when I have more time. It comes in the mail. You swab your mouth, you stick it back in, you mail it back. It goes into a multi-million-dollar machine. We get a genomic report. We have multi-sequence alignment software that basically compares it against known viruses. And those viruses then go over. The FDA comes into control, and we prescribe you precision medicine. How many of you know what a Z-Pack is? Right, if you go to the doctor, give me a Z-Pack, man, give me the big guns. I want the big virus, right? I don't need it. I need something individual there. Well, we know when you have this because your genomic test that we get for $300. That was a $30,000 test 2 years ago. Okay, we get it for $300. Actually, we charge you $350, but we'll tell you that. But basically, we do that genomic test. So we're in the front of precision medicine, genomics, security, globalization. Patient-centric health is really where we are. Qubechain is this whole platform in the middle. You have to do a bunch of things when you get into health IT platforms. You got to have self-sovereign identity login. We talked about it. We have that. You got to have workflows. Doctors don't know how to program. They want to know if you answer this question and that question, so we have workflows. Okay, we have smart contracts. We have programs. So all these things in the middle is what we call our health IT platform. We actually have a piece of hardware. We actually bring this hardware to a lot of shows, and people are like, what is the hardware doing at a blockchain conference? Totally amazes me how the entire blockchain industry, building applications, doesn't realize at the end of the day they're going to be standing in front of an IT department that oversees CPU, ping power, POC. These things run on silicon. Does a distributed ledger technology run different than a database? Databases go and retrieve data, but remember they're only indexed on multiple things. Distributed ledger technologies indexed on one. Totally different. So they're I/O bound. They run totally differently than just a normal database system. So you have to understand how that kind of hardware works. And so this is what Qubechain is doing. We're able to go in and get data from your hospital stay, wherever it is, in the VA, we have all those, in the other hospital chains. We take it out of there, and from your mobile app. We have Dr. Q. It's a little mobile app. It picks up 235 sensors, fit bands, all of those. We actually sell our own fit band, little band software for the device that collects all information about you. And then we put it into a blockchain. Every time you access your data, you get a Cube Vault. So you can upload your blood report, your genomic data, we can go get it to you, and we put it in a Cube Vault. It's in a HIPAA-compliant data center up in Azure. You can have someone else send it to someone. They come and can look at it. If they have an account, it's all encrypted. We unencrypt it with your key, we encrypt it with their key. So it's all done in a HIPAA-compliant way. But you now have your data. You can research someone and say, I want to send them my blood report to have them look at it. I want to have them give me a free offer of analyzing my blood glucose meters and readings and things. Opens up a whole new industry. When the whole new industry now has access to your data, they can offer a lot of things they can't do today. I can insure you just on one disease. So you go and get your Kaiser Permanente, but I'll insure you for diabetes. Okay? How many people can name 50 insurance companies? I can't. There are over 900. Other than the 20 you know, what do you think those others are doing? They're getting into blockchain. What is insurance? It's risk. If I can take the risk, I know what your blood report is, I know what you have to come to me and say, doctor, yeah, I've been really good. I just gained 20 pounds, so I've been really good. But if I have all my data there on a blockchain which they can see, which it's permanent, it's proof that it's there, if they can see that data and you comply with that, that takes the risk out and they can insure you for those items. And so there are a lot of companies that will basically be able to insure you for individual things. Insurance is totally changing. Insurance 1.0, Insurance 2.0. Remember Insurance 3.0 where the Geico, and he used to, my father was an insurance agent. He was also a medical doctor, but he was an insurance agent. You could go to him. You used to go and know your insurance agent. Now you get it online, you don't do it anymore. But now insurance is totally changing. It's because of blockchain. These are companies that want to offer you services. Here's Dr. Q. Little mobile application. We're actually launching it September 15th at the Go Distributed Conference down in Nashville. Free app, doesn't cost you anything, download it, collects all your data from over 250 something sensor devices, manages your doctor reports, things like that. This is an application that I use. We're actually being able to do a full physical. So we can send you a thing to go down to Quest to get your blood report. It's not as good as a doctor. I'm not saying it's the same as going to see a doctor. Because when a doctor thumps on your chest, that means something other than just hearing your blood rate. But from my phone, I can do a lot of things. I take my blood pressure 4 or 5 times a day. I take it with actually this device right here. iHealth. Take it, it loads it up. I can take my EKG, basically, I've done this presentation to over 500 people while I've given myself a physical. And, so this is an application, it's an instant heart rate. Light on the back of the phone. Takes my blood pressure, takes my EKG. I take this 3 times a day. So when I go to my doctor has all my EKGs all during the day, before rest, before dinner, after dinner, and all the rest. Very detailed. A lot you can do on the phone. The future of healthcare is in the palm of your hand. Dr. Topol wrote a book called The Patient Will See You Now. Wonderful book. I encourage you to read it. So Qubechain is doing all of this. These are actually images of my EKG. I have a sleep device. Actually, from your phone now, you can set it on your bed. When you move at night, it basically knows you move. Every day at 4 o'clock, I get really restless. My wife gets up at 4 o'clock. She's a physical trainer. She's a bodybuilder. So she gets up at 4 o'clock and does sit up 200. And so it kind of wakes me up. So I know those things. And I have a Fitbit. To me, it actually says, you walk 13,000 feet, you move a lot, you do a lot, but you're so old and fat, so I don't really get what to do with it. But EKGs, but it collects a lot of information about you, and there's more devices. There's a device you can plug into your phone. I can see if my artery is clogged in my neck. It can ultrasound to see if you have a boy or a girl. You attach it to your phone. So these are a lot of these mobile devices, a lot of data that basically you can have that's there. I can actually have we did this before. My wife had a rash. We actually think it's shingles. She's 55 years old. Had a little rash. Take a picture. It's on your phone. You can download it free. And you take a picture of it, and then you send it within 5 minutes. You're talking to a dermatologist. It's telemedicine. Very popular. Qubechain's working with a couple of different telemedicine companies trying to check which one we're going to be working with. There's actually a box that can send you that can take a sample of a micro piece of your blood and tell you certain diseases and things you might have. So there's a lot going on now that your data can be available and put out in a blockchain. It's anonymous, it can't be stolen by someone else. You can now put it in a Cube vault in a particular way. When it gets back to ICOs, we actually have a Qubecoin wellness. It's actually on the BitShares. The gentleman that spoke with you ahead of time from Open Ledger. We actually traded on Open Ledger. But it's basically a coin. So you can use those for wellness travel and for other things. So Qubechain's doing a lot in the blockchain space, a lot in the healthcare space. We're trying to bring blockchain into the healthcare space for a lot of different reasons that I mentioned. And with that, anybody have any particular questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, good question. So you talked about the user giving you consent. How do you comply with HIPAA? And the second thing is, how do you go to the medical lab and needs to comply with HIPAA?
Okay. First question is, how do you comply with HIPAA? So HIPAA, we have a secure network segment up in Azure. Our servers are built off gold images. We have virus detection turned on. We do backups. There's 13 things you have to do to basically be HIPAA compliant on those servers. We do those things. Okay, we do pen testing, so you're not able to come in and hack it. And so that's how we kind of get into HIPAA compliant. Our mail system is also HIPAA compliant as well. Second question was on FDA. With FDA, we are doing the first 3 with clinical trials. So we know these people already have it worked up. There are 1,000 people in these clinical trials, 250 are with us. They've gone through, we do their genomic testing, we know which basically precision medicine to send them. We have a doctor on staff that basically writes that prescription out, and he's responsible for that because he's writing that prescription out, and it goes to those patients. As soon as we're finished with the clinical trials, we're putting them up there and opening up to others. We don't want to be out there saying we're charging you $350 for a genomic test and you don't have any problems. That's not what we're all about. So we need to find out if you literally have the possibility of having that. That's why we're starting off with clinical trials. But we're expanding that whole workflow system out. We're going to have $120 physical blood work, all the pieces, some things you may be able to check out at CVS or from your library, from other equipment that we might have, but you're going to be able to get a lot of data just from what we have. Yes, sir.
So you're storing all this patient data on a blockchain. I'm assuming you started a new blockchain for this. Who's mining this chain? What are their incentives to make sure that the data that's going in is my data? And in other words, who's mining this chain and what are their incentives to keep the chain accurate?
So the question is, if we're putting personal healthcare data in a blockchain, then who's mining it in that particular blockchain? There is no HIPAA-compliant public blockchain available today. We believe the first one will come from Hyperledger, we believe it will come from IBM, and we believe it will be in the next 6 months. Until that time, we're loading them into a Ethereum consortium blockchain that's private. It's up in our data center. Therefore, the servers and all the HIPAA-compliant other pieces. At the end of the day, anytime you touch your data, upload your data, transfer it, someone else looks at it, we load each of those into the blockchain of Ethereum. At the end of the night, we take all those transactions during the day, we hash them, and we load them into the public Bitcoin network blockchain. So you can be saying, you know what, you didn't have the right to transfer this data at that time. I can go back and basically on that day, take all the transactions, run it through that hash algorithm and say, see this long digit number? If any of these transactions would have been different, that would be a different number. So I can prove you had signed your HIPAA compliant form. You did transfer it to them, and they did come and open the file. So that's how they handle it. Yes, sir.
How do you guys plan to make money and how do you charge people? What's your intention in the future?
So what's our revenue model for? Basically, Dr. Qubechain is free. For inside of patients, there's several ways we're getting paid. At some point, we'll charge $4.95 a month to keep your data for a long period of time. Actually, storage out of the internet is not that expensive. More likely, it'll be your hospital chains, VA, and others. There is a program where if you pay $8, an ACO doctor gets $40. So you're going to be pushed to one of these programs by your doctor because they get paid. So we're working with ACOs. ACOs are government healthcare organizations. Medicare is an ACO by chance. And so we're working with those. So if you want long-term storage of your data, or one of the added value options that we give you, that we'll present to you, if you want those, then it's a subscription model, so much a month to keep your data forever, and other things that provides. But the basic application is free.
I was curious, putting medical information on blockchain, we know that traditionally now you have errors or misinformation. So how do you handle that when the blockchain is permanent and you have wrong data on the blockchain?
Right. So what happens if you put miscellaneous data onto the blockchain, which people do? I don't want them to know, my doctor, I don't want my insurance company to know, or the new insurance company. The blockchain doesn't know what you're putting in there is right or wrong. Okay? We load it into a node. Now we might collect it from a device that has a security cert. We're collecting it from our app. We know where our app gets our data from. You entered certain things. Some things we got from, but yeah, you can spoof Bluetooth devices and things like that. You can load bad data in there. But you're always going to see that data. You're always going to have that bad data there. Somebody can say, we just took it and your AC1 was 11 and your AC1's been 4 for the last year. That can't happen. So you're going to get caught if you start putting bad data in there because it's all your data for life. So there's many different ways to go look at that data. So once I put it out there, now in the Bitcoin, there's pattern analysis, right? If you're buying stuff off some nice drugs off the dark web or Silk Roads, they're going to know this IP address of your apartment complex keeps on buying Bitcoin and buying drugs off someone. They're going to find that out because they want to. But pattern analysis are actually keys we can change. So you won't be able to pattern analysis us out on eventually the Hyperledger Sawtooth blockchains. We're actually your key, we're changing that. But even if it wasn't, probably a government will do that. I don't know if you're really or someone trying to sue your data is going to be able to really do pattern analysis out there on that. The government certainly does it. They know from Bitcoin. If you do 2 transactions, 1 transaction, they're not going to really know it's you. If you do 2, they can probably find out. But in the certainly in our private, all the VAs are going to be all private. And then we can hash those and change those and put those out every day. So there's permanent ways to make it regular, but we can change your ID every time. So to just close out, what Qubechain does is we're a full blockchain company. We were incubated by Hudson Morgan Investments in 2015. We have 5 courses. You get your blockchain black belt. My whole family's in the black belt. I got 6 black belts in my family. My wife is 5'2", 102 pounds, and has 2 black belts. I behave myself. And we have distributed ledger technology 2-day classes. We have an ICO class, and one's coming up actually in August. I think it's the 3rd week of August at the Cove. So we do a lot of the Cove, Irvine, UCI, Innovation Lab, and smart contracts and ICOs and other things. We also have hardware. So once you do go to all these conferences, you learn all about blockchain, you figure everything out, someone builds an application, and you actually want to run a blockchain-based application, what are you going to run it on? I can come to an enterprise company today and they say, I don't have money to do this blockchain project. And I said, how about if I'll give you $250,000? I'm going to load this piece of hardware, which is 6 million IOPS machine. I'm charging you $250 for. I'm going to take $1 million off your floor of your computer center. That saves you $500,000 just in CPU time, heat, power, and pop. Put $250 of that towards a blockchain POC. Okay? Because of our hardware and what the blockchain can do. So I can actually find the money to give you a POC. We have an engagement where we come in for 3 weeks, so many hours each week, and we go to banks. I've been into a $12 billion financial company. I see another gentleman's here, if you know Kurt Kumar. He's doing a big conference in the next month. He was involved in that as well. We went in and they're like, we're a big company. We're supposed to know everything about blockchain. How is blockchain affecting fintech? If we don't do anything, when is blockchain going to hurt me? What am I going to hear about? When's it going to affect my business? What should I be doing today? All those questions we walk companies through so that they know what they need to be looking at. That's a startup program. We also have consulting services. We also do group presenting. I do 2 or 3 presentations a month. I'm actually, Brock and I did one in Cove not too long ago. I'm leaving Monday morning doing D-hits down in Orlando, Defense Health Information Technology Services. We do all different kinds of presentations, and we also have several applications. So we're kind of a full-featured blockchain. We do ICOs. We can create a reward or loyalty coin for you. If you don't want a price variant coin, you can't come to me, as 5 people do a week, saying, can you create an ICO for me and raise $10 million for my company, and of course I don't have any money, but I'll buy you lunch. Okay? I get that all the time. Price variant coin, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of pieces to it, and you have to really understand what you're doing. But a reward coin, we can do very simple for you. So we can design a program where you can have your own coin, you can have your own loyalty. We have our own wallet, so we can put 100,000 coins with a 0.5 decimal place, call it whatever you want. We register it for you, we issue it for you. We give you a wallet, we distribute it into your wallet, which is a wallet that we can give you. We're also compatible with ERC20 coins, which come on Ethereum, so you can transfer it into your wallet right away. You can distribute it, and however you want to use your royalty or loyalty coins, you can. So we do that. It's a quick service. We do it. I'm not sure how many we're doing next week, but we'll probably do 10 or 20 of those a week. But we certainly can do that for you if you contact us. With that, thank you for everything.